Good evening, and welcome to the New York Immigration Coalition's Road to Recovery video series. My name is Nora Melendez, and I am the Immigrant Services Support Senior Events Associate, and I will be your host. The NYC has put together a series of videos to share information and resources regarding economic recovery and resilience, remote learning, and social services to equip immigrant New Yorkers facing the challenges of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. This month, we'll be covering the latest changes and updates in policy in this stream, we will be joined by Toyin Omolola, the CEO and president of DSI International, and we will discuss the Green Light Law, what it is and what it means for community members seeking support in obtaining a driver's license. Please remember this is a public space. We want to make sure it's as safe as possible for everyone, so please refrain from sharing personal information. If you're seeking additional support, our contact information has been pinned in the comment section below. To start, I'd like to thank the New York City Council for sponsoring this Road to Recovery event and their ongoing support. Now, I would like to welcome Toyin. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about DSI International and the work you do?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Toyin Omolola. I'm the CEO of DSI International, diligently serving immigrants. We serve the African immigrant community mainly, but generally we serve any immigrant community that comes our way. We are involved in integration, advocacy, and mentoring. So in terms of integration, we connect our community members to resources that are available for especially the undocumented community. We say New York State, but we actually do extend our services beyond the state. So for anyone who does not know how to get resources, we are kind of the bridge between the resources and the community. And in advocacy, this is one of the things that we participated in at the beginning of our formation. So this is something that we're excited to be a part of today, the Green Light Law, to ensure that community members have access to whatever resources are out there, that they can take advantage of regardless of their immigration status. And then we provide mentoring services to ensure that our community members get integrated into whatever communities they are in a way that makes them comfortable and helps them to accomplish whatever goals that they have. We also connect community members to immigration legal services that are free or low cost.
Thank you, Toyin. And the work you do at DSI International is incredible. It goes, as you mentioned, through all different sectors. So we will be sharing a lot of that information in the comments below. So if you have any questions about how to contact DSI or to follow up, please check the comment section. All that information will be there. To get started, what is the Green Light Law and what does it mean for community members?
So Green Light Law is a law that was passed in 2019. The road was a long road. Prior to the law being passed in 2019, there was like a topsy-turvy uphill road towards getting the law passed. Before 2002, New Yorkers, regardless of immigration status, had access to driver's licenses. However, when the governor, Pataki, was in power in 2002, the law was rescinded. And then along the way, another governor, Elliot Spitzer, tried to bring it back. But because at that point in time, there was no real support because of the representatives in power, he couldn't, he had to rescind his law that wanted to restore the Green Lights law. So from then on, there was a lot of advocacy that involved the immigrant advocacy community. I believe that NYIC was one of the leaders, and many of the immigrant advocacy organizations, including DSI, who joined in a little bit later, and community members and stakeholders that, really wanted this law to be passed in New York. And thankfully, by 2018, when we had the majority of representatives that had our interests at heart, we were able to get the law passed in 2019. It came into effect in December of 2019. And what it does is provide access to driver's licenses to community members, regardless of their immigration status. So it is so we have like 3 levels of licenses. Probably later I'll explain what they are, but for this purpose we should understand that the green light driver's license is the not for federal purposes driver's license that is available to everyone in New York regardless of their immigration status.
Thank you. And how can community members apply for this?
So one of the things that we do in DSI is to assist community members to navigate applying up until the time that they are actually issued the actual license. So there are like 2 major stages. The first stage is to actually schedule an appointment for a written test. So the first stage to applying for a driver's license, which is applicable to everyone in New York, is to pass a written test. And then once the person passes the written test, the person is issued a temporary, like a learner's permit. The learner's permit, the rule, I always explain, to make it understandable, the learner's permit is like the permit you have to practice. So get yourself used to the road, get yourself to understand the rules of the road and the signs and all that. And then when you're comfortable with that, then you take the road test. But between the learner's permit and the road test, you have to also attend a 5-hour class. The 5-hour class is what will give you, is like information and education on how to navigate the roads in New York. So that's the first phase. So you do the written test, you attend the 5-hour class, practice, and then apply to take the road test. And once you pass the road test, you get your license.
Yes, definitely. There's steps to it, and practice is so important because, especially driving in New York City, you have to be aware at all times of everything that's happening. But so, what documents should community members start to gather or have on hand to apply?
So basically, what the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles would require you to have proof of identity and proof of residence. There are different levels of documents because the green light is applicable to, or is really applicable to community members that are not documented. So sometimes the challenge is with one or the other of those things. But there are a variety of documents, and there is a document guide that we assist community members to actually navigate to see which of the documents would be acceptable. For people who do not have a social security number, there is an affidavit that they will be required to attest to, stating that they do not and have never been issued a social security number. So not having a social security number does not deny you access to the driver's license. So there is a document guide. You have to meet 6 points. So it's easy to meet the 6 points if you have, the requisite documents at hand. For example, if you have a valid passport, that's 4 points. And the valid passport would actually cover identity because it will have your date of birth, it will have a picture, it will have your name, it will have basically everything that is needed to prove your identity. And then now you have to make up 2 points to prove that you're a resident in New York State. So there are a variety of documents. Assuming you had a current lease, then that's 2 points. And or I think it's 1 point, and then you need probably a bank statement to make up the 2 points, and then you're good to go. But we know that there are community members that may have challenges with one or two of these documents. We always say, do not fret. We will use the permanent document, the permit document guide to assist you to make sure that you can get the necessary and required documents to meet the 6 points.
Yes, and the document guide is so helpful because it does walk you through every step, asking what it is you have and what you don't have, and it gives you that automated answer, which is incredibly easy. But I know there is a question of like security and safety when you're sharing this information, especially if you are undocumented. So is there a risk of information or like immigration status being shared with anyone outside of the DMV?
So one of the big challenges, right, when this law was in the process of being passed was the idea of information sharing and protecting the community. And so what the state has done, including the governor and the district at the attorney general, what they have done is they made it illegal, unlawful for anyone to share any information. So many of our New York City residents are familiar with the New York City ID. If you're familiar with the process of obtaining the New York City ID, it's basically similar. The staff of the DMV are not supposed to make copies or scan any of your information. So even though you fill out an application and you present your documents, they only look at the documents for verification purposes. They are not, required to make copies of the information. They are not saving any of the information. They have done it in such a way that it is unlawful for any of the staff to actually make an assumption based on the fact that you're actually applying for a standard license. So I always tell our community members, currently, I have a standard license. So, there's no hub that is in place that says undocumented community members applying for standard driver's licenses are in this group, and then the citizens are in another group. There's no such thing. So everything that has been done, the state has put in measures to ensure that the community is protected, the information is protected, and cannot be accessed or shared.
Yeah, and I'd love to echo that the licenses don't look different, regardless of what your immigration status might or might not be. They all look the same. So it's really important to remember you are protected. So does the green light law also apply to non-driver ID cards?
So the green light law does not, you cannot apply for a non-driver ID. However, the license is an ID. It also passes as an ID. So if you do not have a regular state ID, which is more value, right, in terms of moving around in the city, moving around in the states and all that, the green light does not cover New York State IDs. The green light law only provides access to driver's licenses.
Okay, good to know. And where can community members go if they're seeking more support throughout this process? Because as you mentioned, there's multiple steps to it.
Yes, so first I would say come to DSI. We will walk you through. We've actually established partnerships with the driving schools as well to provide you with the classes for a minimal fee. And if you're too far away from DSI, then any community-based organization within your community, I believe if you contact DSI, we'll be able to hook you up with the NYIC. You can also contact the NYIC, and they would also, help with whatever location you are. But if you're within the 5 boroughs of New York, you can contact us at DSI, and we'll be happy to help.
Yes, definitely. If you are located outside of New York City, please reach out. Our contact information is pinned in the comments below, and we can connect you to one of the Greenlight Steering Committee members working within your area to help give you further assistance. And in New York City, please reach out to DSI International. They're incredible. We also put up the link for their Greenlight intake form that you have put together for community members to fill out as well. So please feel free to visit that form and input all your information for someone to get back to you. So what are some signs of scam or fraud that community members should be aware of when they're looking for help with their application? I know scams and frauds are like on the rise at the moment. So
Yeah, so I can actually speak to this. Sometimes you receive a text message that would say something like your application for complete your application for the green light or the driver's license or your learner's permit, and you know very well that you did not even start to fill out an application, and then you click the link and it takes you to a website that looks exactly like the DMV. The first thing that you need to check is the web address. If it is not a ending in .gov, then you have to be suspicious. So that's the first rule of the thumb. If you did not actually apply for a green light, I mean a learner's permit, because that's the first stage. So if you did not actually take steps to do that, then that's a second flag. You didn't take any steps, so why would somebody be contacting you? Thirdly, the only fees, well, for DSI, the only fee that you will be required to pay are fees that you pay to DMV directly. And then maybe when you're taking your 5-hour class, you have to pay the driving school the fees for the 5-hour class, as well as probably the fees for the road test, and the fees for the driver's class also includes practice, with the school. So they may have an add-on fee for the road practice. So if someone is saying that you should pay them any money for any reason, even to get appointments. So one of the challenges we've been having is getting appointments. And so we've heard of people saying that if you pay a certain amount of money, they'll be able to secure appointments. DSI can help you to secure appointments. As long as they are available on the DMV website, you can secure an appointment at no cost. So no one should be taking any money or paying any money to anyone to get an appointment for the road test or even the written test.
Definitely. I think the demand was so high that DMV just right now doesn't have appointments. And we see that there are a lot of scams rising with people saying like, oh, if you do this, you can get one. It's like, go through a trusted source, make sure the information is valid before you exchange money or information or share any of your documents. We want to make sure everyone is being safe and secure. So thank you for sharing all of that. Now we're going to actually take questions from the audience. So please remember, this is a public space. We want to make sure it's as safe as possible for everyone. So please refrain from sharing personal information. If you have a personal question, our contact information has been pinned in the comment section below, as well as DSI's International's. It looks like our first question is, what non-driver's licenses IDs are available?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I can start. I would say that while Greenlight doesn't apply to non-driver licenses, if you live in New York City, you can apply for IDNYC, which I know, Toy, and you mentioned earlier. IDNYC is for all New Yorkers from all backgrounds and from all 5 boroughs, regardless of your immigration status. It's free, and it's for anyone from ages 10 and up, and it helps you secure a wide variety of services. The information for IDNYC has also been put into the comments, and it's on the screen at the moment right now. And one thing we do want to mention is that they do not take walk-ins. You have to make an appointment before you go to an enrollment center. So please, please make an appointment ahead of time so you are not turned away the day of.
So I just wanted to add on that we do assist. It's one of the things that we also do with the IDNYC. We are partners with them to assist community members to get the ID as well. And right now, because of COVID and everything, things are a bit tight, but then it's not impossible. So
Yeah, definitely. Like appointments exist. It might take a little longer, but they will come out. Another question we have is, does green light apply to commercial driving licenses?
no, unfortunately, the green light is just for the regular driver's licenses. There are different classes, so it's just for the basic driving a motor vehicle, private
Mhm.
car, from one point to the other.
Got it. And another question we have is, when else besides driving is a driver's license helpful or needed? So, like, what are the benefits of having a driver's license?
So sometimes there are some places where you go in the city and in businesses where they would require a state issued license. It has a stronger a state issued. It's like it doubles as an ID for some locations. However, you cannot use it for federal buildings. So if an ID is required to enter into any place that is not a federal building, you may be able to use it for that. You can use it as a form. It doubles as a form of ID as well. However,
Mhm.
with limited advantages. You can use it for even some job applications, right,
Mhm.
the would require an ID. Some things that you apply for here and there. I'm trying to think of something that is relevant to an undocumented community now.
Yeah,
Um,
I would, Torian, I would say like even going to school buildings, right? Like being able
yes,
to like go to a school and pick up your child, like having a license is really helpful in those moments if you don't have an ID NYC card or any other form of identification.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So like you
Another
said,
question. Mhm.
it doubles as an except when you're going into and when you're going into federal buildings and into
Mhm.
federal buildings, including the airports, they
Yeah.
every set of
I
entry.
yes, I still have to update my ID now to be able to get the next level, which allows you to go into an airport. But okay, our following question is, if English is not my first language, is it possible to take the test in a different language or to get language assistance?
I believe language assistance is available in the languages that are recognized officially in New York. I believe there are
Mhm.
9. So you would have to make the request for language assistance in those languages. I don't know if you can speak to that again, but I believe it's most of the community members that we service are primarily English speaking, but I believe that
Mhm.
it's available in the
Yes.
official languages.
Yes, language assistance is available. And I believe we have a link also being dropped in where you can request language assistance. It is not available for your road test, but it is available for your written exam as well as no, it's for your written exam. But for your road test, it's going to be in English, and they're going to be like giving you commands in English. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then what is another question? Okay, we also have, do I have to pay for my driver's license or ID? If so, what is the cost?
So the driver's license, not the ID, the driver's
Mhm.
license, we always have to make sure that we know that the driver's
Yeah.
license, the cost varies. So it's available to anyone in New York from the age of 16, and the cost varies depending on the age, but the range is between, I believe, $80 between like $64 to $80 to $90, I believe. There's a range. So again, when you're ready, or you contact us, or whoever you contact, they'll be able to give you the exact amount that you will be paying.
Okay. And then another question we have, is insurance part of the requirement? So like, I'm assuming car insurance. Is car insurance part of the requirement? Yeah.
So everything else that everyone else has to do will apply to anyone who gets the green light driver's license. So if you get a car after you have the learner's permit, definitely you have to insure your car, and then you have to get the insurance. If you, whatever else that you need to do, you will have to, that is required under law for you to be able to drive safely on the road. So yes, if you have a license, you'll be required to have insurance, especially if you're owning a car, or if you're driving someone else's car.
Okay, yes, insurance can definitely add up too. Then we have a follow-up question of, can I get an enhanced ID without a social security number?
No. So this is where I'll explain the other levels. So there are 3 levels of the driver's license. The first is the standard license, then we have the real, and then we have the enhanced. For anyone who is not getting the standard license is the one that is not for federal purposes. The real and the enhanced, you can use it for federal purposes. You can use it to travel domestically, and then for enhanced, you can actually use it to go into places like the neighboring countries, Canada and Mexico, and places like that. So therefore, for the other 2, the real and the enhanced, you will be required to provide a social security number.
Okay. And then I know you mentioned if you don't have a social security number, people can sign an affidavit. Should they bring a signed affidavit to the DMV?
No, there is a form on the DMV website. It's called the sorry, it just escapes my mind.
Not a problem.
The form is actually available on the DMV website, and one of the things that we do is, if you fill out the form that was shared earlier, one of the things that is book the appointment, and once the appointment is booked, we will provide you with the application form so you can familiarize yourself with the questions. We'll provide you with the manual for you to practice, to prepare for the test, and we'll provide you with the form for the social security affidavit. So it's a form that is already pre-designed. You print it out, fill it out, and then take it to a notary to notarize.
And does that form have to be in English, or can it be in another language?
Like I said, I believe it. I mean, it should be accessible in another language. I'm not too sure about that, but I mean, if it's on the DMV website, I believe we can request, request it so that it can be issued in the other languages. I'm not too sure about that though.
Okay. We can also make sure to include the links to the form in the comment section, so we will make sure to add it in. So keep an eye out on the section for that as well. It does not look like we have any more questions. If you have a last-minute burning question, please drop it in now. But if not, that is all the time we have today. So thank you again, Toyin, for joining us and for breaking this all down for us. And thank you everyone for tuning in and spending your evening with us. Our next video will be on Wednesday, May 19th, right here on Facebook and YouTube. We will be breaking down the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the supports available for community members and small businesses trying to access it. To stay involved with the New York Immigration Coalition and DSI International, follow us here on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Stay safe, take care, and enjoy your evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.